Good evening. It is, what is it? It's August 22nd. We're moving from Leo time into Virgo time, and Virgo time is all about hearth and home and the harvest. So we're moving into harvest mode, claiming what we have patiently planted and cultivated and sustained over the course of the summer. And now it's time to reap our rewards. And good evening. We've got Diana and Sue and Christina. And I appreciate your stopping in and checking out my video this evening. I'm running exactly 1 hour late, which is okay. Every once in a while we have a little glitch, but tonight, I think we're going to have a good time. We're going to be looking at the book. You all know the book. There's the book, A Course in Miracles. And I know for me personally, it has been a source, literally, of salvation as well as transformation. For those of you who are not aware, 5 years ago in 2013, I came down with pneumonia very abruptly. Literally in a period of 5 minutes, I went from feeling normal to not being able to breathe. And this inner voice that I've always recognized said, call 911. And I did so. And they grabbed me and took me to the hospital. And I was 6.5 days in a state of non-responsive brain activity. I was on a respirator. And generally 2 to 3 days and they pull the plug, because if you're on a respirator for an extended period of time without any brain activity, they consider you to be a vegetable. But my family said, no, be patient. He's on a journey. And that, in truth, is what I was doing. I was journeying into a realm of understanding where life actually comes forth from. So after 6.5 days, they assembled all my friends and family, and everybody was standing around the bed. They were going to unplug me and let me float off into the universe. And so, to the surprise of doctors, nurses, and practitioners, they unplugged me and I woke up. And here I am today, sharing A Course in Miracles with you. And it is fascinating how we slip in and out of the dream. You know, we really never experience death in the literal sense. We experience an illusion that we create about death, and then go into a deeper region of somnambulism. We're moving around, but we're still asleep. And so the whole point of all of this is to awaken completely and entirely. And the journey back home is initiated with our resistance to the ideas that are presented to us within the illusion. And that being said, tonight we are going to, pardon me, take a look. We are going to take a look at chapter 13, and we're moving through to section 7, the attainment of the real world. And that's what I've been talking about here, is that this physical world where everything is separated, everything is broken apart, is the illusion that we have created so we could continue to believe that we're separate from each other and separate from God. So really the thing that caused us to arrive here was our desire to experience separation, not realizing the complexity of that very simple idea. But when you start to go back and look at reality as it has been proclaimed to be by multitudes of different spiritual gurus, sages, people with insight. The clearest definition of life is God. You know, Jesus in the New Testament said God is life. And on the surface, that sounds very simple and almost, childish. But the truth is, life itself is the presence of God. So if I am exhibiting life, then I am manifesting the presence of God. So if you believe that you have managed to separate yourself from God, you have separated yourself from life. And that's kind of a crazy thing to do because, number one, it won't work because what God created is always a part of God. So even though we may believe that we have separated ourselves, the truth is we exist in God this moment and every moment throughout time. But here we are like ostriches, a herd of ostriches with our head in the sand. I don't know if that's an urban legend or not. I don't know if ostriches actually bury their head in the sand, but it's kind of a fun image. You know, you all see the ostrich with his head down below his feet. And that's how we spend the greater content of our life. And so really what we're trying to do is to wake up from the dream and to reclaim life and to know that life is inviolate. You cannot kill what is spirit. You cannot kill what is a part of God. Now, yeah, you can kill bodies. You can hack them up and do all sorts of hideous things to them, but you are not a body. And that is the most empowering statement that you can probably repeat to yourself whenever you're going through trials and tribulations, is to consistently affirm to yourself, I am not a body. I am as God created me. I am spirit. I am free. And as you are confronting things in this world that seem terrifying and, cause your heart to race and turns your hair gray overnight, all those things can be transformed and transcended by that simple recognition that you are seeing an illusion. The illusion is scary. And the more that you express fear, the more you turn that illusion into concrete. You make it seem even more real. So whenever in life we are confronted with things that cause us fear, we want to always use that affirmation. I am as God created me. I am a spiritual being. And I can do this. I can walk over this bridge and get back to that place that is home. And, it is a very, very easy journey once you start to develop confidence in truth. If you're still holding on to the illusion and believing that it has power, then you are going to be in a state of suffering. And why would you want to do that? That's another idea that pops up from the Course over and over again, is that recognition that this need not be. The things that are confronting you, the things that are causing you fear and panic and worry, they don't have any substance. They are not grounded in truth. They are illusions that you have created to keep you trapped in a dream, to make it seem more real, because you think this dream has something of value. You think this dream has a gift that it can give to you. And of course it can't. Anyway, going right into this section here, it says, sit quietly and look upon the world you see, and tell yourself, the real world is not like this. It has no buildings, and there are no streets where people walk alone and separate. There are no stores where people buy an endless list of things they do not need. It is not lit with artificial light. and night comes not upon it. There is no day that brightens and grows dim. There is no loss. Nothing is there but shines and shines forever. And when you do have that breakthrough experience, when you've actually arrived at that point where you still the mind, where you stop all the brain chatter, where you actually disconnect from the ego's litany, you will notice that you experience a flash of light. And the light is different than sunlight. It's different than all the light that you experience in the physical realm. So you're sitting there in a meditative state, and you're observing your thoughts and allowing them to slow down, and then eventually they stop. And what happens? The light clears all of the past. When you have that breakthrough experience, the light penetrates your fear, your dominance by the illusion of this separate world, this world of separate experiences, and it hits the reset button. And so you have some kind of a healing as a result of that direct connection with God, that direct connection with the light. So you may have been having a problem with arthritis, and all of a sudden you notice, wow, I'm not aching as much as I used to. Or you may have, a bank account that's been on the flat line for the last 6 months or a year, and then all of a sudden something comes through and prosperity appears in your life. Healing takes on a multitude of different forms, but healing is also associated with that experience of the union with light. So you are not going to be healed through conventional means. You can use all your crystals you want to, you can go through medicine, you can go through homeopathy, and all you do is you just switch things. Did you ever notice that? Well, I healed my tendon that was aching and giving me a lot of pain and had crippled me, and now I'm back on my feet again. But I'm getting laryngitis now, and whoopee-doo. See, there's always a replacement for the healings that we experience from conventional forms. And the reason for that is you have left out the most important component in healing. And that is the recognition that you and God are one. So when you get up in the morning, don't ask yourself, how do I feel? Get up in the morning and ask God, God, how do I feel? Tell me, show me, expose me to the truth of who I am. Let me know about how happy and healthy I am. And you will begin to change your day. You will begin to alter the vector of your life. You will set a new course and experience new experiences. So we have to be aware of how healing occurs and what healing really means. And the healing process is a restoration of our awareness of truth. That's all it is. So when you're talking about broken bones and scrapes and scarps and cancer and appendicitis and all these other things, you're fragmenting things further. You have to get back to that recognition that there is one being. There is one being that exists throughout all eternity, and that is God. And if that is true, then you are God within God. See, you are eternally connected to God. You're allowing yourself to have an adventure in a world where death and destruction seem very real. But the truth is, you're at home in God all this time. So the second paragraph says, the world you see must be denied. That's the way we approach healing on any level. We have to look at this world with all of its fearsomeness and say, this is not real. And you can base that on the introduction to A Course in Miracles. All that is real, God created. Everything else is illusion. So if you're looking at something that is painful or fearful, you're seeing an illusion. And you can have that illusion disrupted and replaced with truth by that process of stilling the mind and opening yourself up to direct communion with God. You cannot see both worlds. For each of them involves a different kind of seeing and depends on what you cherish. The sight of one is possible because you have denied the other. Both are not true, yet either one will seem as real to you as the amount to which you hold it dear. So if you're holding on to this body, if you're holding on to this material reality and imagining that it has value, then you have blocked the activity in the presence of God. You have systematically cut yourself off. And you have made yourself a victim of the world that you are envisioning. So the thing we want to do to get back on track, to get our sanity back, is to step out of this denial of the true world that we are a part of. And the true world is an abstract reality. You can't concretize it. You cannot turn it into form. There is no form in God. God is love. God is peace. God is harmony. God is ecstasy. God is bliss. God is joy. God is union. All of us are united within God. And God is totality. There is nothing outside God. Nothing exists outside of God. It's a hard idea to really incorporate in your thinking system. But once you begin to grasp that understanding, then it becomes much easier to look at this world and deny its reality, because it has absolutely no tangible reality connected to it. All of what you're seeing is an illusion. So as we go on here, it says, what does it say? The sight of one is possible because you have denied the other. Both are not true, yet either one will seem as real to you as the amount to which you hold it dear. And yet their power is not the same, because their real attraction to you is unequal. You do not really want the world you see, for it has disappointed you since time began. And isn't that, a fascinating experience when we look back at events in our lives, things that we thought were so precious, things that we strive so hard to achieve, and then we achieve them, we grab onto them, we clasp them close to our body, and believe that we have claimed the greatest thing, our greatest desire, and experience that fulfillment. And 2 days later, you're thinking, gee, I'd rather have this instead of that. You get that brand new Mercedes, and 2 weeks or 2 months later, you're thinking, maybe I want a Bentley. Maybe I want an even richer, more glamorous vehicle. See, and that's the way the ego operates. We always want more and more and more. So as soon as you attain what it is that you are trying to attain right now, you're going to find that it's an empty experience, that no real fulfillment has occurred. So we do have to be truthful with ourselves. It's very easy to get into that process of lying to ourselves about what we really want and whether or not it is a worthy thing. Because the truth is, very little in this world is going to give you a sense of enrichment and fulfillment. And you know what the only thing is that will give you that sense of enrichment and fulfillment? It's relationships. It's recognizing yourself in those around you, and recognizing yourself in the animals and the plants. All the different things that we have given form to are simply love in expression. So The only thing that really has value to us is that connection to love in this material world. When you have claimed love, when you have looked with forgiving eyes on yourself and everyone around you, and seen God's creation instead of your ego's interpretations of that person, then you're on the right road. Then you are attaining things that are worthy of all of your efforts. So really what we're doing is we're reducing the world down to its clearest form. Illusion on one side, love, peace, and perfection on the other side. The illusion part takes form. The love, the peace, the harmony, the joy, the ecstatic union with humanity, the ecstatic union with the animal kingdom, the ecstatic union with the plant world. That is what has value. And that's an intangible process. I mean, you can definitely point out a tree and say, you know, I love this tree. But really, when you are able to penetrate the illusion, you see the tree is love. And that's how you're able to love what it is that you are claiming. It's a very easy process, but our ego is constantly attacking us and pushing us away from achieving this goal and declaring all of our judgments to be against the world we're surrounded by. See, it's better not to have any judgment at all. But if you are judging, judge in favor of life. Judge in favor of truth. Judge in favor of spirit over form. And you'll start to really feel like your life has content and value, and that you can experience your life on a much more complex level. You know, this surface world, this material world, we can touch it, yeah, and it seems to be there, but it has no depth. It has no real content. The thing that has depth is a thing that restores love to you. So if you are loving a corpse, then you're kind of missing the point. But if you can love the spirit that had inhabited that corpse, then you're never experiencing separation. You're never experiencing a sense of loss. You're always in that state of maintaining your connection to life through the process of love. So it all boils down to decisions that you make, because you are not a victim of this world. All of your victimhood, even if you had things happen as an infant, and I know about that journey too. I had my experiences in my infancy that were related to me by my family. And all of us have had that belief presented to us that we were a victim of the conditions that we were born into. And if you're going down that avenue, then it's yours. It's something you're going to have to explore until you awaken from that. But the truth is, none of us have ever been victims. The truth is, we came into this world with an agenda. We had a script that we had written before we were born. That's why I love Shakespeare. Shakespeare was brilliantly illuminated. People don't realize how profoundly spiritually awakened Shakespeare was, because a lot of his plays deal with some pretty grisly events, murder and all sorts of dark, shadowy things. But that's the world of the ego that he illuminated so brilliantly. But when it comes to looking at life itself from a higher perspective, if you're in the Globe Theater and you're in that upper level where you're looking down on the stage, a lot of his ideas become even more lucid when he says, all the world is a stage. And all of us are simply performers on that stage. It's a script, and we created the script. So we have to get back to that point before we thought we were born into this mortal world, and embrace the reality that we wrote a script and then came into this world to experience it. So just imagine, if you're a hero, if you're an inventor, if you're a musician, if you're a brilliant artist, all of these things were scripted by you for a life experience. And at the end of the journey, when you're at that final stage and you go down dirty with cancer or somebody impaling you or whatever, you have to ask yourself, was it worth it? I spent 25 years or 45 years or 85 years in this material experience, and what did I gain out of it? Because I couldn't take anything from it. Once you die, you're beyond the body. You're not taking your bag of shekels and your certificate of honor and achievement with you. You're going to leave this world the same way you came into it. So then you have to start working on that idea of, what do I want from this world while I'm in it? And that is the thing that changes the course of your experience and of history. Once you recognize that you're in pursuit of something that's not real and is not going to fulfill you, then all of a sudden you can take off in a new direction. And you can come to that conclusion, I want to awaken in this lifetime. See, and God and the forces of heaven will support you in this endeavor. That's the beauty of it. Nobody has ever been turned down by God. God doesn't have a go away sign on his door. And that's the beauty, or her door, if you're caught up in gender ideas and whatever. But the truth is, there is no denial that will be issued forth unto you by God if you decide that you want to awaken, if you commit yourself to transcending this world of death and destruction. And that's really what it is. I mean, the whole world is consumed by consuming. Stop and think about it. In order for you to maintain your life, you have to eat plants, animals, whatever comes along. So you're living on death. The death of other things is what sustains your body. It's kind of a gruesome thought when you stop and look at it with honest eyes. But that's what this world is a proclamation of the power of death. And if you want to continue to play the game, then, that's your journey. That's what it is that is going to overwhelm you at some point on that timeline that you're currently on. But if you decide, hey, maybe, just maybe, I want to awaken from this and to start working in that direction of life being sustained by life and not the illusion being sustained by death, then maybe you are going to make some real progress in this lifetime. It really is up to you. That's the beauty of it. God does not have a gun that he has placed at your head, threatening to pull the trigger. You're not being forced to do anything. But you are, by your own free will, condemning yourself as long as you're holding on to this level of existence. So moving a little bit further down here, it says, nothing you made but has the mark of death upon it. See, so if you created the illusion and you are participating in the illusion, then the mark of death is on everything that you have created. And you may want to whitewash that and say, oh, not really, I love these little pansies that are growing in my garden, they're not death, but they're going to die. Winter's going to come along and devastate them. Everything we have created in this world is terminal. And we have to look at that for what it is, the stamp of death. Anyway, the roads you have made lead you nowhere. And no city that you built has withstood the crumbling assault of time. Damascus is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the planet. And you go through Damascus and you can see the different degrees of attrition, and you can see the different stages of evolution and then collapse. And that's true throughout the world, no matter where you go. You're also going to see the new emerging, but you're also going to be sensitive to the fact that the old is falling apart, crumbling, turning into dust. And that's just the way it works. That we have built a world that is ephemeral. It's not going to be here. Anyway, nothing you made but has the mark of death upon it. Hold it not dear, for it is old and tired and ready to return to dust, even as you made it. This aching world has not the power to touch the living world at all. You could not give it that, and so although you turn in sadness from it, you cannot find in it the road that leads away from it into another world. So this world is not going to give you your answers. And, that again, a lot of the New Age community, they're all about rock formations and vortexes and crystals and this and that. And those are all, fun little games to play. But the real world has no form. The real world is that process of being absorbed into God, going back home to where you belong. And within that, there is joy, there is beauty, there is truth, there is eternality. You will not die. You will not be punished. There is no condemnation. I mean, imagine what a horrific God would be, or a horrific monster God would be, if God would punish you for having a dream. That's not the nature of God. We punish ourselves for buying into the dream. But the truth is, the dream is just that. It's not real. It's an illusion. So, this was kind of a deep episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. And I would recommend, if you get a chance, go to my website, www.themiraclewithin.org, and you'll find a lot of information on A Course in Miracles, as well as information about the idea of non-duality. And all the current videos are posted there. And overall, I would say, get out there and really start to challenge the illusions that pop up and the sources of fear. Ask yourself, am I feeling fear that is justifiable? And you'll definitely get an answer from higher consciousness. God does not ignore us. That's why the Holy Spirit exists. The Holy Spirit is our voice from God to us. And if you learn how to be quiet, you will hear the messages that are always being presented to you. Every day, God is telling you something, and how often do you actually hear it? That's an interesting question. How much do you feel that God is an instrument in your life? And as soon as you start to look around and ask yourself, how did I get here? You'll start to be able to actually make that connection and hear the voice of God saying, come on back home, stop being the prodigal child. You don't need to go out on a limb and punish yourself because you never created or you never committed a crime. All of this is forgiven. And at the same time, you have to forgive everybody around you. You know, if you can't practice forgiveness, then you can't accept forgiveness. It's the way it works, the eternal balancing factor. Anyway, I will be back in 1 week. Hope you guys have a fantastic entrance into Virgo time. We're getting closer to autumn. Before long, the trees are going to start turning brilliant colors, and that's just another expression of love. So anyway, get out there, share the love, pass love around, and I will talk to you in 7 days.